I don't care if it's not Wednesday. Maybe it's Wednesday when you're watching this, I don't know. I'm wearing pink anyways because I'm here to talk about Mean Girls. Get in, loser, let's review this movie. Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams and I am here with a spoiler-free review for 2024's Mean Girls. This is a movie that is adapted from the stage Broadway performance, not necessarily a remake of the original 2004 Lindsay Lohan movie. That being said, before we get started with this, make sure you come help us out here at the Cinefanatics. We're kicking off 2024 in the most positive way. Hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. Anyways, getting back to this movie, for context, I am a huge fan of the original. I would dare say it's really one of my top three, maybe, at least top five high school comedy movies of all time. It's going to be a hard fight for it to hit that top because you really got to break through Clueless, and I absolutely love Clueless. But that being said, I did really like the 2004 original Mean Girls, and then when I heard it's being turned into a stage adaptation for Broadway, I was like, I want to see that. I'm in Austin, Texas. I have never been to New York. It's going to cost a lot of money to go to New York, and then to go see a show, yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. So I make do with what we get. What we got is a movie version of the stage musical, which I absolutely was all here for. Now, that being said, I do know that there's going to be a lot of questions in regards to, was this movie actually needed? And especially because the trailers didn't really do a good job of telling people this was a musical. For the most part, everyone just looked at this movie and go, okay, we're just remaking a movie that's already, very much loved, and it's still come out recently. It's hitting its 20th anniversary this year. That's not that long ago. In this world nowadays, we're seeing a lot of remakes and reboots and stuff. It just feels kind of odd that a movie that is very loved, like Mean Girls, would get a remake without doing something different with it. And this is what they did different. It's a movie based off the stage musical. So for my viewpoint, for my way I was watching it, I have to compare it to the original 2004 because it's essentially the same story. I know I say this is spoiler free, but it is the same story that you already know and love. So adding the music to it was a nice little spin. I'll get into the music here in a bit. One of the other things that I thought was kind of interesting about this, of course, going into this is a 2-hour-long movie, which I think the original was like an hour and a half or so. Yeah, like a little over an hour and a half. And so therefore, we're expanding the runtime mainly because you've got musical numbers that have to play out. But also one of the things you have to do to make all that fit is you do have to remove some scenes. There are some scenes that I really liked in the original that I felt really helped present and support the characters, especially of the plastics. And those scenes were removed to make room for larger musical numbers in there. I don't know if it's like that in the stage performance as well, if they do still kind of touch on some of the scenes that were removed from the movie. I don't know. If you've seen the stage performance, let me know down below in the comments. The music for this movie I thought was really good. It added a lot more depth to the story, to the characters. Best example I have is the scene where Regina is taking the burn book to the school after she's been burned herself, finding out the Caltine bars are actually making her gain weight. In the original movie, she takes the burn book and just rips out pages and throws it all over the hall. I think she makes copies of some of these pages so it can spread that way. Keeping in mind, that movie came out in 2004. The first iPhone didn't come out until 2007. So this movie does take it from a point of view of current and modern day schools and technology. There's a lot of phones. TikToking is done throughout the movie. And they use the phones in a very smart way that I feel fits in with how the original would have been had those devices been around at that time. They weren't, so we got what we got in the original movie. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and I thought that was a really interesting take and spin on how they did that. That being said, the music that plays during that scene where Regina is just so upset, I think is probably my favorite musical number out of the whole thing, because it just really drives in how angry Regina was in that moment, and I think it was a phenomenal performance. Otherwise, there's a lot of musical numbers that they made out of scenes from this movie that it's weird, because I wouldn't say that those scenes in the original needed a musical number to help it expand, but they did it in this, and I think it fit very well. Mainly, for example, there's a whole musical number about like Karen or Gretchen being sexy at the Halloween party, where you could dress up as like sexy characters, kind of going to the thing where typically people will dress up in sexy costumes for Halloween, and it's a play on that. And I think that they did a very good job expanding that, even though that wasn't necessarily something that you really needed to expand on. I think they talk about in the original for like a sentence or two, and then they move on to the rest of the story. So I love what they did with that. I thought that was a really good idea. The acting in this movie, again, for the most part, everyone in this movie is brand new to this role, which I will say, I feel like for me makes it a little confusing, in that I'm used to seeing like Lacey Chabert or Amanda Seyfried or all these other characters that I already recognize because I was already used to them before seeing the original. Now it's a whole bunch of actors that I'm not that familiar with, and therefore it was kind of hard to keep track of who is who. I also feel like there are some characters whose roles in this movie in particular were kind of like muted a little bit. Specifically, like a lot of the other people who we know by name at the high school that are typically like written in the burn book, like Dawn Schweitzer. She does get a mention, but I don't know exactly who she was in this movie. While like the original movie, they say these other characters and you know who they are recurring, you see them again and again throughout the movie. It doesn't really play out like that in this, so I felt kind of detached from the world that the original movie made. You fit in with that because they basically treated it like you're coming into this high school. You are learning all of these other students as well. And you don't really get that in this movie. And I get it. It's probably another one of those that they had to eliminate that just to make room for the bigger musical numbers, which is fine, but it's one of the things that like I really liked about the original, just how fleshed out it was with the multitude of characters that you get to know, you get to love, and every time you rewatch it, you just see more and more of them, and they're all endearing. I also like that there were some new dynamics for some of the returning characters, specifically Miss Norbury and Principal Duval. I think some of the stuff that they did with them, even though a lot of times they were kind of repeating the same lines that they had already said, just slightly in different ways in some points, but there was other things that they added to those characters that I thought were a nice addition. I really appreciated what they did with them. And then of course I want to point out the three major actors that I really liked in this, specifically Katie, which was Angourie Rice. I think she did a fantastic job in this movie filling in for Lindsay Lohan, and like she gave like some good life to it. And the thing I like about her is I'm already used to seeing her as a high school student because she was in the Spider-Man movies for the MCU. So she kind of fits into that role already, and I was already familiar with her ability to be a student in a high school, and I thought that was great for her. The other one I liked was auli'i Carvalho, who was Janice in this movie. And I think she did a really good job. I love Lizzie Kaplan in the original, but this take on that character I think was phenomenal, and also had some more extra layers and depths. I think they went more into a backstory with between her and Regina in this movie than they did in the original, and I think it was a really nice touch for it. And then, of course, the other one is going to be Regina, the Queen Bee herself, Renee Rapp, who I think did a phenomenal job just playing a cold-hearted so well. Like, you really hate her character in this. Like, I was a big fan of Rachel McAdams' portrayal of it, but man, Renee Rapp just really nails down, like, gets you just really super heated to hate her. Like, this is almost like Nurse Ratched up in this school with this character. So I think she did a phenomenal job as well. Really great job playing these characters and adding more to them that I wasn't already used to. I think the other thing I really liked was how this movie was filmed. It was filmed like a stage show in some parts. Specifically like in scene transitions, at the very beginning, they're setting the stage, and a lot of the stuff they do right at the very beginning and also right at the end just plays out like you were watching this on a stage production, with like backdrops and stuff moving in and off of the stage and transitioning from one side of the stage to the other. You can see and feel that in this movie as well. So I think that was very well done, and it really puts you into the idea that you are watching more of a translation of a stage performance rather than just another movie. And that's also another thing that I feel like separates it and necessitates the need for this movie to exist instead of it just being another remake of a much beloved movie already. Otherwise, as far as comparisons, you know, I still have to say I love the original. I've seen it so many times. I just absolutely love it, and it's really hard to accept another one. I had fun with this movie. I thought it was great. I see a need for this movie to exist, but I still feel like I probably preferred the original a lot more. And part of that's probably going to be based off of my age. I am much older than high school, so to speak. And therefore, like, I don't feel like I connect with the youths in this movie. I feel like old man shouting at the sky or whatever. I don't feel like I connect with the kids in this movie than I did at the time of watching the original, where I was not that far out of high school myself in 2004. Here, again, that was back 20 years ago now this year. I'm much older. I've had, I guess, like 2 high school reunions by now, so if you are a fan of the original, I do recommend it. Go check it out. There's enough changes in here to necessitate its existence. And if you like musicals, it's a fun musical. I would actually compare the music of this, I would compare it to Anna and the Apocalypse, which is a Christmas musical, a Christmas zombie musical that I typically watch every year around the holidays. I absolutely love that movie. This one I feel like plays the same way, just on a much larger scale. So yeah, if you like musicals, specifically Anna and the Apocalypse, go check this out. It was a lot of fun. So that's going to be my review for it. I would say out of 10, I would probably actually rate this movie. I'm going to give it a good solid 7. Just because, like, my expectations I have really high expectations. I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest and truthful. I have high expectations because of my love of the original, and I thought this one did a fairly good job at representing the original and possibly representing the stage performance. Again, I don't know how the stage show was. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the differences had you seen it. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this review. Make sure you come follow us on everything we're doing here on the Cinefanatics. We are at the Cinefanatics on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow me at RCA Reacts on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd. You can also follow me at youtube.com/@RCA Reacts, where I'm reacting to all kinds of weird stuff. Music, food, TV shows, life in general. Come follow me over there. We're going to have some fun with that. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. This movie was so fetch. Go check it out, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.